Hi, everyone. This is the Perspective with Viv podcast. My name is Viv, and welcome to the show. Today's title is The Fifth Dimensional Director with John Napolitano. John Napolitano is a Galactic Akashic Reader, psychic medium, and healer. His path to spiritual service has been anything but conventional, starting as a US Marine, then a DC police officer, and later a filmmaker. But beneath it all was a lifelong calling to serve and a deep connection to the unseen. After a powerful spiritual awakening in 2020, John began seeking answers beyond the physical world. Not long after, he began receiving visitations from galactic beings, triggering a profound galactic awakening. This opened the door to the Galactic Akashic Records, higher dimensional connections, and a deeper understanding of soul journeys beyond Earth. Today, he helps lightworkers and starseeds awaken their gifts, heal karmic patterns, and reconnect with their true multidimensional selves. So, hi, John. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Viv. Thank you for having me. It's
My
truly a
pleasure.
pleasure.
Same here. So let's dive quick into the questions. You've had such a dynamic life from the military to law enforcement to filmmaking. I'd love to hear about your journey through all those versions of you to become this person you are now.
It's interesting. Sometimes I think about it. It's like, how many past lives can you actually live in one 3D life? And it seems like I just keep adding on these lives. There have been core things, core interactions in my life, and core like belief systems. And really, what I've realized after reflection is that it's always been to serve mankind, to serve others, and to help others. And I remember as little as 4 or 5 years old, always wanting to join the military and always wanting to be a police officer. And I also wanted to be a firefighter at some point, but I haven't done that yet. And the jury's out on that one. I might actually wait till the next lifetime to be a firefighter. So, but I've always had that call to serve. And when I realized and felt like a filmmaking call, I wanted to be in Hollywood, but my life kind of took a different direction where I work in more documentary settings as well as some corporate and other events. But once 2020 happened and the pandemic started to shut down everything, and not only the United States where I am, but the rest of the world, I felt this complete disconnect from being a filmmaker. It didn't feel right anymore. I felt like I needed to help others and help the community, and working on political videos and corporate videos and even some documentaries were not fulfilling to me anymore. Those weren't helping the community like I thought, they could. So that's when my spiritual awakening began. I didn't even realize that's what it was at the time until down the road, like maybe a year or so later, I was having a tarot reading from a psychic, and she pulled out this one card, and I wish I remember exactly what it was, but I think it was the
High Priestess.
yeah, that's it, the High Priestess. And she's like, "Oh wow, you're a psychic. You could be doing this yourself. Buy a tarot deck, just start practicing. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the community." And that's when it dawned on me, because I've always known I'm psychic, but that's when it dawned on me that I could actually help others and work with others as a professional psychic to start, and that's what I needed, was kind of that little jolt to find that true direction in my life. So I began studying, what it means to be a psychic and how to do it. I started working with tarot cards. I started listening to podcasts like yours and started working with others and taking psychic development classes. And once I started my psychic development classes, strange things started to happen. I would see during meditations, I would see movement out of the corners of my eye. I would get feelings of different energies, messages from loved ones in the waking state, not just in the dream state. And then aliens started coming to me after all that. And that was somewhat unexpected. I didn't think about aliens at the time. And, one day I'm meditating, and all of a sudden I see this gray alien just appear in front of my face. And guy's looking at me, I'm looking at him. It's just two dudes having a stare off. I'm waiting for him to communicate, because usually when a being or something, I could feel an energy in front of me, usually I ask, do you have a message for me? And this guy, he didn't really have any message. We were just staring at each other. So I said, time to go. You got to leave if you don't have anything for me. And I come to find out, other psychics I've worked with who've had their own galactic awakenings, same thing happens. Alien comes in front of them. And, what I'm starting to learn is that these aliens, when they realize you're awakening into your abilities and your starseed abilities, whether you realize or not, they kind of come in and they want to see if they can either intimidate you or get you off your path. And
Interesting.
yeah, well, this guy didn't realize I am more stubborn than anyone else I know. And, when somebody says, I challenge you, I say challenge accepted, and I do it.
Like that.
Yeah, so he left, and then a few weeks later, again, I'm about to go to bed. He comes in my face, and same thing. He's looking at me. We're staring at each other. No communication, no energy feeling. So I told him to go, and he left. That night, I had a couple of fairly disturbing dreams. I think we're trying to take me off my path. And again, I said challenge accepted, not happening. So another week later, I started seeing again the visions that I get. It's like lights flashing in my face, right in my eyes, right before I get a galactic communication coming in. Well, it wasn't him this time. It was actually just flash images of Orion. And I just had an intuitive knowing that it was all about Orion and the wars that were centered there against the Orion Empire. So
That's so
I would.
impressive.
Yeah, and at first it was just all these documents. I could see a different language
Mm.
that I even knew it. So no English, nothing like that, no other language
Wow.
I was aware of. Flashing documents, images, war images, very dark, cloudy. Still remember this black tower I saw,
Mm.
and and then I had this intuitive knowing it was that. So the next day we were having a class, and I asked the teacher, "Hey, I keep getting like aliens, coming to me in meditations. I just had this download last night. What is going on?" And the teacher's like, "You're an extraterrestrial, right?" And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "That's a thing? Like that is like," she's like, "You're a starseed." I'm like, "What's a
Mm.
starseed?" She's like, "Starseed is you." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." She's like, "Welcome to the family. You're going to learn a lot more about it, and we look forward to hearing it." So I
Mm.
kind of left it there, but I started asking myself, what's a starseed? So naturally, I go to podcasts. I start looking at podcasts. I start reading up on it. And a few months later, I'm listening to a podcast, and the host says, "Hey, go to this website. Check out if you want to know what some of these aliens look like out there. Go to this person's website and see what they look like. They're pretty good at representation." So I went to this website. I went to the Orion tab because I knew that was, I just felt drawn to it. So I go to the Orion tab, and staring back at me is the exact same gray alien that I was looking at months before.
Wow.
And I was just blown away. So naturally I'm reading through all the history, I'm learning more about it. And a few months after that, I think to myself, I get this idea in my head one day, I wonder if anyone's teaching the Galactic Akashic Records. So quick Google search later, and I find out that there is a class that is beginning in 2 weeks from the day I thought about it. So, I sign up for it, and I start taking this class, and I'm going through the materials. I'm learning more about the history. I'm reading about the Akashic Records and what they are. And within a few weeks of starting the class, I find myself while I'm asleep traveling through dimensions. I could feel the different energies and the frequencies around my body as I'm asleep. And
Wow.
I start asking myself, what is going on here? What am I doing? And I realized, oh wow, I'm frequency hopping. So I say to myself, okay, where am I now? Oh, I'm in the sixth dimension. Let me go down to the fourth dimension. I lower myself, and I can feel this almost like no, just a feeling of the energy kind of pushing around me and the difference in it. And then I say, okay, let me go down to the third dimension. And I feel this crushing feeling like I'm going into the bottom of like a lake or something like that. And I'm like, I don't like this. Let me go back up to the fifth dimension. This is way
Yeah.
better.
Mm-hmm.
So And then once that starts happening, it's happened a few times while I was asleep. I started to learn that what's happening is I'm being attuned to the Akashic records, kind of like how you'd be attuned to the uh, to a Reiki or a healing modality. This is the same thing. It was a progression that
Interesting.
was working in me, and nobody really talked about that all that much, what that attunement process was, but that was what was happening. And then once that started happening, I would focus on somebody or look at somebody's picture, and I would look at them and be like, I feel like they're Syrian, or I feel like they're an Orion. I feel like they're the,
Mm-hmm.
angel or a fairy. And I realized I'm being attuned to the records, and depending on how open their higher self is, I could get a full download of all their information and all their past lives and all that, depending on what I focus on. And this would continue to happen until I would get to one night after I finished my Galactic Akashic reading course, that I was asleep. I found myself in this massive space with like thousands of other people around me, and I was put into like this street scenario. It's kind of like a real dark street, and this silhouette of a person came in front of me, and I couldn't see their face, but I would just get an instant download of their starseed archetype, and then going all the way back to their first incarnations. It was just instant downloads, and then a new silhouette would be popped in front of me, and then another one, and it just kept happening. And then I started to realize, oh, I'm in a training simulation right now. They're putting me through my paces. I call it my graduation night. So I end up, once I realized what was going on, I said, okay, well, put this person in front of me, put this person in front of me, put my children in front of me, things like that. And I would get downloads about each person that I wanted to learn more about. And then I asked myself, okay, well, I'm in a training simulation. Who is this with? And I found out through an intuitive knowing, I'm with the Arcturians right now. And the Arcturians are a special group consciousness within our galaxy. They embed the Father God masculine consciousness of the Milky Way, and they are like they're part of the guardians of the Akashic Records. So naturally, they're the ones who dropped me, are training with me right now. So I asked to see the leader, essentially. I asked to see the manager. Why have you brought me here? So they take me to this room. And in this room, it looks like the transporter room of that Starship Enterprise from Star Trek. And they are so high dimensional that they had to essentially be transported through a holographic imager into this special like pad within the room. And then they materialized holographically to me to actually speak to me so that I could actually communicate with them. And basically what they told me is that you don't need the pathway prayer process anymore that you originally learned to access the Akashic Records. It all comes through you through instant downloads, and that you have a special place on Earth to work with others and help, not only heal and activate other star seeds, but to reach them so they can go on their own paths in life as well. So that was kind of my graduation night. And then as time went on, I've done many readings since then, learning about, star activations, which are, these are energies and abilities that people have had in prior incarnations on different planets. And I can help them facilitate an activation of those frequencies and those abilities so that they can perform those tasks in their present incarnation on Earth now. And it's also evolved to the point where visually I can start seeing people's, people's archetypes and where they past lives, visually on them. So it's like right now, it's like I see your wings, I see a Pleiadian on you. I was doing an interview yesterday, and I don't really try to tap into these things, but they just start
Mm.
happening. And I was doing an interview with somebody else yesterday, and her skin was turning purple, and I was like, I could feel it. So I see it, and then I feel it, and I see
Wow.
she's an Andromedan from the Andromedan constellation. And,
Wow.
it's funny enough, we're looking at each other, and I know this will be audio, but you have a white pillow behind you, but it kind of looks like wings, but I see those wings anyway. And it's
Oh, I
funny how
love
you have
this.
this visual. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love when you just have an unexpected reading. But
Mm-hmm.
I must say, it's so impressive to be able to see people's face change and for you to link it back to their history. For
Yeah.
example, but I wouldn't lie to you. I always felt like, you don't try to say these things out loud so people don't think you're so full of yourself.
Mhm.
But I always felt like I had angelic energy. I was
Yeah.
like, I try to call myself a fairy from time to time because they're the closest people to us that have wings. I didn't want to go so far with angels, but it's nice to have that. So thank you for sharing that with me. So let's talk about
Mhm.
filmmaking a little bit. How do you use filmmaking to share spiritual messages?
Well, I haven't. I've worked on a couple of projects now that have been spiritual. Have had a spiritual bent to them. But when I knew that I was going to create my own Galactic Akashic Reading business, I knew that I also wanted to help teach others as well. Regardless if somebody comes to my website to book a session or whatever, I wanted to be able to help heal them as well, or help give them knowledge and teach them something about it. So if you go to my website and you go to the history section, you're going to see an entire galactic history, of many of the main players out there, as well as a few other lesser known species. But what I wanted to do was not only just provide reading. I'm a filmmaker, so I wanted to provide some visuals. So I went and I created like AI art, artificial intelligence art as well, and then turned it into video as well. So each history section, there's a representation of what I see from the records of what this species looks like, and then kind of give you this visual look of it, whether it's a ship flying or a big battle taking place in there, or it's some of these different species out there. So each section would have that, and then I created um, uh, teaser videos on my website as well. So past readings that I broke down into minute long, 2 minute long readings for people to, kind of just listen to it, see how my style is, and also hopefully get a little bit of an awakening from it as well. Thinking like, wow, that resonates with me. This person's past life resonates with me as well. I created a visual. I didn't just want audio or pitch, just standard pictures. I wanted to create a video with it. So each one I used, AI video to create like almost like a story to go along with what was being talked about in each teaser. So that's how I'm incorporating it right now. In it is trying to incorporate and meld that video and that visual with the storytelling, so people can look at that and kind of hopefully engage some of those past life memories for themselves.
That's so impressive, especially the use of AI. Because now with AI creating images for us, you're actually able to translate what you see in your mind into visuals in a way that is close to accurate. So I like that. And that's why my
Yeah.
next question is, you've said that visual storytelling can transmit frequency and anchor light codes. Can you
Mhm.
explain what that means for those new to the idea?
What I've been told and what I'm starting to understand for myself is that when I was taking classes a couple years ago, a lot of people would say, you're going to transmit Reiki through your mouth. And I didn't know what the heck that meant. I'm like getting this like weird visual of me like opening my mouth and like Reiki flying out. What I'm seeing is that those frequencies, those transmissions of frequencies coming out of my mouth are through what I say, what I talk about, visuals. And vibration frequencies, light codes, they're all about vibrations. All matter is made up of essentially light. So when you think about light codes, you don't just think about the light that's in front of you. It's things that we can't see. Even our entire bodies, we are made up of certain frequencies. And as we expand our consciousness and raise our awareness and get closer to spiritual source, God, or our loved ones, and feel those frequencies, our bodies change and those light codes change. So when as I'm talking right now to you, I'm sending you light frequencies, and I'm sending you those new frequencies and light codes from not in my mouth, but through transmitted telepathically as well in a way. So you're receiving those. Your audience right now, they're all, all of you are receiving it as well and feeling these frequencies. And some of you are awakening to your own past lives. You're thinking to yourself, I always thought I was different. I always thought that I didn't really belong here, or maybe I've always looked at the stars in a certain way that was more of not just an observer, but somebody that, came from there. And you're all starting to awaken to your spiritual selves and your starseed selves. If you're listening still right now to this podcast and in this particular episode, and you haven't turned it off, you are a starseed, because somebody with just a human background from a human group consciousness most likely will not be listening to this anymore, or coming to me for services or to view my website and learn more. And that's okay. I have no judgment, because that's just how you are. There's concepts that sometimes you're just not ready either, because there's concepts that I've come back to that I wasn't ready for years ago. And I think we all have that, where we just grow and we change our viewpoints, or we expand our viewpoints, and things that wasn't of interest to us then are now an interest to us now. And that's just how things go in life. We have certain milestones that we have to do in our lives that, souls pre-incarnation into this existence, we set them. And you can't go to Z before you go through A, through the rest of the alphabet.
All right, thank you so much. That's such an insightful answer. Can you please tell us more about the Galactic Akashic Records, and what insights have they revealed to you that has totally blown your mind?
So the Galactic Akashic Records and the Akashic Records are pretty much the same thing. When I say the Galactic Akashic Records, what I'm doing is I'm setting my intention to go off planet, to go off into different realms. And even when that is the case, I have a connection with the divine, the heavenly realm, the angelic realm, the fairy realm, the galactic realm, earth realm, and other multi-dimensions. So when I say the Galactic Akashic Records, I'm just sending essentially my intent off planet, so I can start there. But I can view other different records or different aspects and different realms within that too. But primarily, I like to work with people to help them learn more about their own galactic upbringing. But what I have found is that not everybody just started off as an extraterrestrial off planet. Not everyone started off as a Lyran or a Pleiadian or a Sirian. Some people now have actually been in their first incarnation objects or other type of beings that you wouldn't generally think you would be. So one of the things I learned really early on is that some people, their first incarnation was a planet. I've also been, what I've learning too is I was a incarnated planet at one point, or I think I was a star. I was a certain star. Somebody else was a planet. Some others were moons. Some were nebulas.
Wow.
One of the coolest ones that I remember from a couple months ago is my client. She was a wildfire in the Pleiades. So she was actual fire. She was burning.
That's interesting.
And I didn't see that. Like I asked, look, what is this person's first incarnation? And I start seeing flames. And I get the intuitive knowing she's on the Pleiades, pre blondies and white people, the Nordics on all the Pleiadians there. This was pre that existence. But her first incarnation, she wanted to be a wildfire, clearing the land, clearing and making way for new growth and new plants, animals to grow. So after she was that wildfire, she incarnated as a bug in that land that was just cleared by her. And she wanted to experience it and bring life to that section of the land in the Pleiades. And then she went to Vega and became a shaman there. So, yeah, so she, it's interesting that some people just want to, their souls decided to begin as an object. And so what I'm learning is that all objects have consciousness. And I actually, what I'm loving too is that I'm starting to see it in the news. I'm seeing articles where there are scientists out there that are looking at the possibility and starting to make hypotheses and theories that objects actually have consciousness. I was reading through one the other day that was talking about how every cell in our body has consciousness to it, and how that affects our surroundings and our own realities. So, you know, I've worked with medical intuitives and health intuitives that talk about, you know, if you're having a trouble with an organ in your body, talk to the organ. Why is the organ? And your organ will talk to you.
So true.
Yeah. So you can work within your body, and I guess I'm going off. I've gone from the galactic into your body. I don't know why I did that, but anyway. So the Galactic Akashic Records, yes, it's setting the intention for going off planet, and then I usually go out into the galactic, and then I work my way back. So easily I can just go right into it and access the Akashic Records of lives here on Earth as well.
That's extremely interesting. So you've mentioned Derek, your parallel Pleiadian
Mm.
self. I would love to know how you met him and how does that connection guide your mission here on Earth?
So what I'm learning about Derek, and I call him that because that's the name that he gave me. He's like, you're not going to be able to explain, you're not going to be able to pronounce the full name. So stick with Derek. They have a lot of those. I was doing a reading last week, and we found a Pleiadian past life for somebody else that needed healing and integration. And my client asked me, "What's his name?" And I was like, "He's saying, call me Bob." So sometimes they say, "Look, we just have this nickname for us." So Derek started off coming to me through my dreams. I didn't know exactly who he was until that. For years, actually, I'd be in part of these dreams. I'd see these dreams where I'm out in space. I'm on spaceships. Over the last couple of years, I thought, it was like, oh, maybe because I like to watch the show Star Trek or something. Maybe I'm just thinking about that. But I would see these very vivid memories and these different things that are happening. And especially over the last year or two, I would get a very consistent look. I know one time I was on a space station, and some virus was actually attacking the people on the space station and turning almost like into zombies, and I had to fight them off. Like, where does that come through? That, like, I'm thinking about it afterwards. I'm like, what was I watching that would cause that type of memory, like in a dream? Nothing. It was nothing like that. It was just this very vivid on a space station. I'm barricading myself to like fight off these like infected crew members. Another time we're being attacked I'm on a space station on an asteroid, and all of a sudden this massive ship, and it's like reptilians attacking. They come, and we scramble our jets and like our space jets, and fly off this asteroid, and have to engage them into battle to fight them off. And I'm seeing these, I'm like, who is this and what's going on? Why do I keep having this? Well, one day we're in class, we're having we're doing some out of body travel and work, and I thought, I'm like, I just decided to send my consciousness out while I'm meditating on my astral body out there in space. I start seeing this hand, and he's operating operating controls like he's on a ship, and he has like body armor on. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? Like, I don't know who he is. And then I see a visual. He has like a helmet on. He has full of like a special weapons and tactical armor. He has like a little ray gun in his hand, and he's like crouching around, looking past a wall, and he's scrambling up, sneaking around buildings and stuff. And then I see him fly off in this like space fighter, and I'm like, I recognize the space fighter. I'm like, oh my God, you flew that in that dream I had. I just shut off my mind and allow the visuals to come through, and I'm seeing all this. So I know it's not my imagination. I just see him fly off. I'm like, I recognize that. I just knew that I had an intuitive knowing this is my parallel self. And then a few weeks later, I did a meditation, and I connect with him. I'm like, hey, what's your name? And call me Derek. Why are you in the Galactic Federation? You're a Pleiadian in the Galactic Federation. He's like, my father was in it as well. I'm following in his footsteps. So not too long after that, I reached out to him, and I said, hey, I just want to check in with you. It's like, I want to, can you share more with me? So I felt this overwhelming feeling of love come in from it. So it's like I opened the door, he's sending love. And then that night, he showed me more. While I was dreaming, I astral traveled into his eyes, and he brought me into this critical juncture of Orion history where Derek actually worked with bringing all these different delegations of Orions and freedom fighters and militaries and refugees together into this space station to finally unite and defeat the Orion Empire. So I come in through a shuttle, I land there, I start speaking with all these different delegates, these refugees. Well, he wanted to show me that there's danger involved. There was danger involved in this mission. And he ended up, while I was speaking, or while Derek was speaking with some people, this robot looked very similar to like the droids from Star Wars, just started losing its mind. And it's like it couldn't compute what it was doing. Like its mission was different from what it was doing, and it self-detonated. And it just blew up. And I remember getting knocked to the ground. And I had loved ones that were with me as well. I had others and people were, killed during this attack. So he wanted to show me, look, this is the missions I'm on. They're very important, but they're also dangerous. And I've been shown some of the battles since then from that exact space station. So it's kind of like the Orion's last stand against the Orion Empire at that point, and they were able to, defeat the Empire and change things from there. So, it's very interesting. So, what does it mean on this planet for me? I'm able to talk a little bit about the history and see what happened in there, because this is things that we're going through on our own planet right now, all around the world. We're experiencing this ascension. And there are potentialities for realities where Earth and humanity finally find peace, coexistence with each other, and can ascend into the galactic realm and move on to be with our brothers and sisters out there. But there's also the potentialities that we can falter and we can fall from this. And we have groups on this planet that, whatever their intentions are, or their reasoning, they intend to keep things the way they are, or even bring them back to, more of a negative space. And I think it's mostly out of greed. I think it's out of ego-based power to keep us in things the way they used to be, and keep that control in small groups of people's hands. But I have this, I just feel like no matter what, we're going to move into the right direction, and it's going to take time, but we're going to the side of peace on Earth and being able to work together as a united group. It just might take some time. But what I'm also being shown is that soon, very soon, within this end of this decade, most likely, there will be unequivocal contact with an extraterrestrial species. And first, I think what we're going to see is we're getting prepared for it right now. In the United States, we have these groups of whistleblowers that are coming, that work for the government, and they're coming before Congress and the Senate. And for once in history, people, senators and our lawmakers are actually taking it seriously, and they're bringing them in front of the groups.
I saw that.
Yep, and you have these people out there, and these former whistleblowers, and they're saying aliens exist. We've been dealing with them for decades, even maybe even sooner. We have their bodies, and we're reverse engineering. But right now, people are hearing that, but it's nothing. It's just, okay, well, we'll believe it when we see it.
Yeah.
So, and they're slowly bringing things out. So what I envision seeing, what I'm seeing through the records, is that we will get ultimate proof through something very small. So that's going to shift everyone's mindset. The Earth's group consciousness is going to shift, and we're going to finally be in that mind state that, yes, there is life on other planets. That might be just, bacteria or, amoebas out there, but that shifts everything.
Yes.
And then from there, that's when they're going to come down. And that's when we're going to get an actual medium. That's going to change things. And then we're going to start receiving more information, probably more channeling, more information. The Galactic Akashic Records are going to open up. People are going to start awakening even more to their roots.
Yes. And I was about to say that I've seen a lot of videos about people having sightings, different sightings, whether it's ships in the sky, whether it's aliens walking through a mall and people are running. And I keep wondering which one is real, which one isn't real,
Yeah,
because it was what's the right word, shocking to see
yeah,
Congress actually talk about aliens and say that they are real, because for so long propaganda has been aliens aren't real, but we know about route, is it route
yeah,
59 or something, what's the
yeah,
route, yeah, exactly. So everyone decided to ask, so why are you now telling us about aliens? What's the shift? What has happened behind the scenes that you're
sure.
being transparent with us now about aliens and about what you're doing and about Route 59 and all of that? So, yes, there is a shift that is about to happen. I'm super curious to see it happen in real time, where there's
Hmm.
true contact, where you're actually seeing an alien ship, a UFO ship, or whatever it is coming, and there's contact. So thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah,
So as we round up this episode, I have 5 more questions for you that I'd like for you to answer
great.
as concisely as you can. Are you
Okay.
ready? How do you
Yes.
stay grounded while working across so many dimensional realms?
I have to be mindful of my own body and feel the frequencies as I work within the different dimensions. It comes with practice, it comes with patience. What I do is every day and every evening I create I set the intention of ground, clear, and protect myself. Even before our interview today, I grounded myself. I created a bubble, a sacred space between you and myself. And then, I made sure that we were protected, so that we can have this conversation uninterrupted and, without malice.
I love that because I also did the same thing. So thank you for that. Okay,
You're
my
welcome.
next question. For people having their own spiritual awakening, especially if they're overwhelmed or feel like they're going crazy, what advice would you give them?
You're not going crazy. When I started my spiritual awakening, I questioned everything as well, and that's just natural. I was thinking about it the other day. If you're going through a spiritual awakening, you're probably buying crystals and buying spiritual books. If you're going through a midlife crisis, you're probably buying a sports car that you don't need. so
That's
that,
funny.
so that's how you tell the difference. But joking aside, look, if you're beginning your spiritual awakening, it's okay. You are where you're supposed to be. You meant to do this. Your soul planned this in the heavenly realm before you even incarnated here. So you knew this was going to happen before you even checked it. I would suggest starting a practice of ground clearing and protect before you start getting into some of the esoteric belief systems or trying to practice anything or any psychic abilities. And just because you're going through a psychic or a spiritual awakening doesn't mean you have to become a psychic. It doesn't mean, these are just things that are part of humanity and what our natural abilities. Some of us wake up to them. Some of us are already awake to them right from the beginning. And some of us just want to get closer to source or God and not allow that other stuff to distract us, like telepathy, premonitions, reading other people's auras. If that's not where you want to go, that's okay. You don't have to do that. If you just want to get closer to source or God, or just raise your frequency so you just feel like you're a more positive person, that's just fine too. And be patient with the process, whatever it is, and practice non-judgment for yourself and others. That's huge, because I knew for myself when I started off that I wasn't progressing as fast as I wanted to. And once I allowed myself to let it go and just surrender to the progress and my abilities, that's when I started to really make that progress, and that's when my psychic abilities started to open. But that's where I wanted to go with it. I wanted to practice professionally.
Okay, thank you so much. Have you had moments where someone either watched your work or you read for them and had an unexpected spiritual or emotional breakthrough?
Yes. Quite often when I'm reading for somebody, I generally ask them, "How does this resonate with you? How is this?" And many of them will say things like, I'm getting full spirit, feel full body chills right now. I'm getting goosebumps. So for me, that allows me to realize, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm helping them. I'm working with them. Some of them are, many feel those energies coming in, especially when we're doing healings. We've done soul fragmentation integrations from past traumas. Yep. And they feel those coming in. They feel that integration. So when I receive those, confirmations from people, that's just a little reminder that I am doing the important work for them. They're doing important work as well. And we're all moving in the right direction spiritually.
Wonderful. Do you have any film recommendations that influence your spiritual awakening? Not necessarily contributing to it, but you could see that being an influence to people that are going to an awakening.
Film recommendations.
Yeah.
There are a few that I can't think about right now. They're not in my mind. I wish I knew this one. I could have done the research on what I've
Okay.
seen the best, but that's okay. So there is one. Allow me to hop onto IMDb real quick so I can give
Okay.
you the exact name.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Jeremy Renner was in the movie Arrival from back in 2016.
Okay.
So in this movie, it's not really about spiritual awakening. However, aliens come to the planet, and they have a communication they have a language that nobody understands just yet. So
Mm.
they reach out to this expert. Um, and she works with Jeremy Renner in the movie, his
Hmm.
character, and as she learns the language, she starts seeing things. She starts seeing things how these aliens see things. I guess I shouldn't be giving spoilers, so I'll leave it there. But basically, the concept is humanity needs to work together. That's the
Mm.
idea. So that we can join the community and then help others. So I
Oh.
guess I'll leave it there. There are other movies out there.
You could always send me a list. I'll
Yeah,
just
I'll
post
have to
it.
think on it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank
So
you. Yeah, thank you for
mhm.
that recommendation. I love film recommendations.
It's just a
Okay,
lovely movie. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I bet. I'll let you know how I find it when I watch it.
Mhm.
Last question. If you could create a scene that captures what it means to be human and galactic at once, what would be in that visual?
I think it's just an understanding that you have, as a starseed, as an extraterrestrial incarnated as a human, you are having an experience. Ultimately, you're a spiritual being having a human experience. So I have a very large extraterrestrial energy system
Mm.
that's different from many other humans, but I still see myself as a human. I still have bills to pay. I still have children to love. I still have, I may have a calling to help others and get them in touch with their own extraterrestrial and starseed selves. But we have to remember and not lose touch with the fact that we are having a human experience. And ultimately, no matter what kind of alien we are, we are spiritual beings. And that the
Yeah.
entire idea is to create a spiritual experience on Earth, not just an alien experience, not just a human experience. There's more to just having money, power, and things like that. Ultimately, it's love. A few months ago, I asked Archangel Michael, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing here? Because I was trying to figure out, do I start a business? Do I start this? Do I do that? And the answer I got, love. My purpose is love. Your purpose is love.
I love that.
That's really all it is
Mm.
our purpose on this planet is to love
Mm.
ourselves, love others, and get closer. And that's really the only way to get closer to source or God.
Wow, beautiful answer and beautiful end to this very enlightening podcast episode. I must say, since we spoke about codes and frequencies, I can tell the difference in frequency when we're speaking about this topic. Like it's quite here. Like
Mm-hmm.
I always feel grounded and then uplifted when I speak. But as I was getting uplifted, it reached a point where I stopped and I was like, oh, wow, this is beyond me. This is more than what I know, but I'm open to hearing about and understanding. So it's nice to understand that when people are having conversations like this, you can tell the difference in energy. It just feels like for me, it's a whole other door that I haven't fully explored. I've heard about Pleiadians, Acturians, Lyrans. I heard Syrians as well. I've
Mm-hmm.
heard about them a little like classifications, but never the Galactic Akashic Records, never in depth about what you could actually experience and see, and how we've descended from different, let's say, tribes or different lives as different things. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that with me.
You're
And
welcome. And if
yeah.
I got one more thing. So one of the biggest reasons why we do access those records is that we can integrate those energies from past lives, whether it's a superpower as a Syrian or whatever, to just what that person was all about. So, if we identify in a past life that you were a leader on a planet or a great, like a captain of a ship or something like that, and you want to integrate those energies from that life into that one, that's something that we can do together and we can work on so that you can integrate that and take those
That'd be
energies
nice.
into this present incarnation so you can help yourself now. Because the thing about the multidimensionality is that there is no time, that you are suspended. I was actually visualizing this on a drive yesterday. I'm glad I didn't crash. So I was visualizing this and I see almost a suspension, this ball, and that's us suspended in the air. And, there is no time. There is really no space. Wherever we set ourselves is where we can end up, whether it's in a specific time and space or not. And the multidimensionality aspect is that whatever you do now can affect other things. So healing a past life can affect not only your present incarnation, it's going to affect the future incarnation, as well as your parallel lives, as well as your parallel realities or alternate realities
Okay.
of your soul. Not, and as well as that is whatever you do in this life, the healing that you can do for yourself in this life will affect all those as well, even in the past, the future, parallel, and alternate. That's a multidimensionality that's a little crazy. And if you do go to my website and you subscribe, and this isn't just a plug, but now that I'm realizing, if you do subscribe, what you get is I actually have a document that explains this a little bit more in
Oh,
detail.
okay.
And that way you can just you can wrap your head around, because it's very confusing. I'm still working it all out myself, but you know. It's just amazing to think about how powerful we are as spiritual beings.
Yes.
Even even the poor child on the street is a powerful spiritual being, or the person who feels like they're being hurt by others. They are still a powerful spiritual being. They don't even recognize it. Once you start recognizing that, you can empower yourself to step into that power and become who you're meant to be.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing all these lovely words and for
Thank you.
informing and enlightening us. No, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much. So, thank you so much, listeners, for listening and for really taking in everything that we shared here. Talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.